Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today you are in for another treat. So, let's get started. Yun Xiao's aura intensified, growing stronger with each passing moment, like a meteorite descending from heavens. His hands shifted rapidly, forming intricate seals, leaving behind afterimages in the air. As the energy coalesced, 3 golden hand seals materialized, drawing in the surrounding forces, their radiance becoming increasingly blinding. Softly, Yun Xiao murmured, "Life is but a dream, Fei Hong's seal." The 3 golden lights merged into one, resembling a meteor crashing down. A massive golden palm print descended from the sky. The dean's eyes widened in shock. The seal of life. How is this possible? With Yun Xiao's current strength, he shouldn't be able to wield it. He must be channeling the power of heaven and earth to complete this move. But even that requires an unparalleled understanding of such forces. I can barely comprehend them myself. How did he achieve this? Could he be a disciple of Yang Di? Luo Yunshang was equally stunned. Is this truly Lord Yang Di's seal of life? Impossible. He's merely a 1-star warrior. How could he execute such a technique? What is his connection to Yang Di? The spectators were left speechless. The sudden shift in the battle was so overwhelming that they could scarcely process it. None had ever witnessed such a grand display of martial power. They stood frozen, eyes wide, minds blank. Lan Xian, standing in the martial arena, was just as paralyzed. The sheer force of the approaching attack shattered his resolve before it even reached him. His clothes disintegrated into ashes, and blood seeped from cracks forming on his skin. Then, with an earth-shaking impact, the Fei Hong seal struck him. Golden light erupted from his body as he was hurled through the air like a deflating balloon, leaving a trail of blood behind. His body crashed dozens of meters away, shattering the diamond rock upon impact. As Yun Xiao landed, he exhaled deeply. His face turned pale, his body trembling from exhaustion. The battle had drained every ounce of his vitality, and the borrowed power of heaven and earth had faded. A heavy silence engulfed the arena. When Yun Xiao had first displayed his shape-shifting technique, whispers had spread among the spectators. But now, after the execution of the Fei Hong seal, not a single voice was heard. Though Lan Xian's defeat had seemed inevitable the moment Yun Xiao unleashed the move, witnessing it firsthand left everyone in stunned disbelief. One move, a single strike, had completely annihilated Lan Xian, a 9-star peak warrior, without leaving room for any doubt. The young master of the Li family, long regarded as a failure, had utterly overwhelmed the leader of the Xian gang. The image of the Fei Hong seal, borrowing the power of heaven and earth, was burned into the minds of all who had witnessed it. Even the dean, Luo Yunshang, teacher Wang, the princess, Chun Han Senior Yu, and every Xian gang disciple were left in stunned silence, their thoughts blank. Yun Xiao's breathing was heavy as he struggled to recover. The battle technique he had just used was only viable against lower-level warriors. Its preparation required too much time, something high-level battles would never allow. He stepped forward, his cold gaze fixed on Lan Xian, who lay battered in the distance. Murmurs finally broke the silence. How could this happen? Lan Xian lost? And so miserably. He's a 9-star warrior, and Yun Xiao is just a 1-star. The gap between them should be insurmountable. Even the dean was momentarily at a loss. His pupils contracted as he suddenly snapped. "Stop!" His voice echoed like a thunderclap, jolting the students. But Yun Xiao had already reached Lan Xian, placing his foot firmly on his opponent's dantian. Lan Xian, though grievously injured, was still conscious. As Yun Xiao's foot loomed over him, terror filled his heart. He realized in that moment, Yun Xiao was truly mad. He was about to defy the dean's command without hesitation. Panic surged within him as he screamed inwardly for someone to save him. Then Yun Xiao struck. A decisive kick landed on Lan Xian's dantian, releasing a burst of force. A streak of light shot through his lower back, shredding his garments. Blood sprayed from his mouth as his body convulsed before going utterly limp. His spirit, once burning with ambition, faded like a dying ember. He had fainted, his future destroyed. The crowd gasped. A broken dantian was a death sentence for a warrior's path. Unless treated with a legendary 7th-level holy medicine, Lan Xian's martial journey had come to an end. Even the dean, with all his speed, had failed to intervene in time. He now stood frozen, staring in disbelief, feeling an unfamiliar sense of helplessness. Luo Yunxiang inhaled sharply and rushed forward. Seeing Yunxiao approach Lan Xian once more, she cried out, "What are you doing?" The audience was bewildered. Lan Xian was already crippled. What more could Yunxiao possibly intend to do? Without hesitation, Yunxiao raised his foot and stomped down. His heel crashed into Lan Xian's mouth, shattering his teeth and tearing his lips apart. Blood gushed from his face, staining the ground. Even unconscious, Lan Xian's body twitched involuntarily from the impact. Everyone was stunned, a chill running down their spines. The dean's expression darkened as he flew forward. "Boy, you are too cruel." Li Yunxiao smirked. "I said I'd make you lick my shoes. I haven't washed my feet for 3 days. How does it feel now?" He reached out, snatching the 5-colored divine jade pendant from Lan Xian's waist. Determined to claim it, he pocketed the pendant before kicking Lan Xian aside like discarded trash, sending him hurtling toward the dean. The dean didn't even glance at Lan Xian before slapping him away again. The battered young man crashed into the ground. At that moment, the dean's fury erupted like an enraged lion. "He's already lost, why go this far?" the dean murmured. "This was a duel of life and death," Li Yunxiao replied coldly. "Mind your own business." His words echoed throughout the martial arts arena, shocking everyone. Even the most powerful figures of the Tianshui kingdom, the emperor, the president of the Alchemist Guild, the commander of the National Guard, would not dare speak to the dean this way. The dean laughed angrily. "Do you even know who I am?" Li Yunxiao sneered. "The so-called dean of the academy, over 100 years old and still at this level? If I were you, I'd be too ashamed to show my face." A collective gasp filled the air. He had just insulted one of the strongest men in the kingdom for having low cultivation. The dean roared, "Die?" His oppressive aura solidified, pressing down like a mountain. Li Yunxiao staggered under the immense pressure, his body trembling as if he would be crushed. Yet he refused to kneel. He gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing. A 100-year-old man bullying a 15-year-old? A martial king suppressing a mere warrior? "If I survive today, I will make you pay 100-fold." The dean's expression shifted. Despite the overwhelming force of a martial king, this 1-star warrior stood unyielding. Even more alarming was the fighting spirit Li Yunxiao exuded, unyielding and indomitable. In the distance, Luo Yunxiang's anxiety turned to awe. His defiant gaze sent a shock through her. Why does this stubborn look feel so familiar? She wondered. Her thoughts were interrupted as sunlight reflected off the statue of the martial sovereign. Her breath caught. Gu Feiyang, his expression and demeanor, are exactly like Master Gu Feiyang's. She turned back, staring at Li Yunxiao in disbelief. The resemblance to the legendary martial sovereign was uncanny. Li Yunxiao suddenly coughed up blood but remained defiant. "Don't think I have no means to fight back just because you're a martial king. Even if I die, I'll make sure you suffer." He swallowed an origin-blasting pill. Power surged through his body like an unrelenting tide, his aura rising exponentially. The dean hesitated. His pressure was enough to subdue even a great martial master. Yet Li Yunxiao still stood. If he continued, he would only ruin his own reputation for bullying a mere martial warrior. Just as uncertainty flickered in the dean's mind, he sensed an inexplicable shift in the air. Li Yunxiao's eyes turned eerily calm. An unseen force rippled around him. Luo Yunxiang noticed it too. A breeze stirred the previously still air, and clouds seemed to gather out of nowhere. She gasped, "The wind is rising, and the clouds are moving. How can this be?" The dean's eyes widened. He, too, sensed the disturbance. Murmuring to himself, he looked at the sky. The wind and clouds, they are truly rising. A bead of sweat rolled down his forehead. Who was this boy? His stance, his technique, was this truly the legendary wind and cloud palm of Master Gu Feiyang? Li Yunxiao stood tall, his presence as immovable as a mountain. The wind and clouds obeyed his will. The world shifted. The storm was his to command. At the snowfall peak of Shenshao Palace, Martial Sovereign Gu Feiyang once stood atop the snowy summit. With a single move of the great wind and cloud palm, he overwhelmed 10 nine-star Martial Sovereign, effortlessly outmaneuvered the palace master of Shenshao Palace, Chu Hongnian, and roamed freely within the palace's forbidden grounds. His deeds became legendary, passed down through generations as a tale of unrivaled prowess. Meanwhile, in the martial arts arena, the air was tense. The dean suddenly shouted, "Stop!" His commanding voice cut through the tension, and his overwhelming presence faded as he studied Yun Xiao, whose aura had drastically changed after consuming an origin-blasting pill. While such pills could temporarily enhance strength, they carried severe side effects. The dean was confident that Yun Xiao posed no real threat to him, even if he could wield the great wind and cloud palm. However, Yun Xiao not only demonstrated knowledge of that technique, but also the floating life seal, both of which were linked to Yang Di. If these abilities had indeed been passed down from Yang Di, the dean would find himself in a difficult position should he harm Yun Xiao. For the first time, a flicker of apprehension crossed the dean's eyes as he recalled Yang Di's formidable power. After a moment of deliberation, he declared, "Students fight of their own accord. However, your methods were excessively ruthless. Since this is your first offense, I will let it slide, but do not repeat it." With those words, the dean disappeared from the arena, unwilling to entangle himself further in the matter. The gathered students and teachers were left in stunned silence. The dean, who showed no leniency even to princes and princesses, had let Yun Xiao off so easily. Whispers filled the air, disbelief evident on their faces. Luo Yunxiang, recovering from her shock, narrowed her eyes thoughtfully before feigning anger. "Withdraw your power immediately," she commanded. Yun Xiao's body radiated immense heat, his skin turning crimson as the explosive energy surged within him. Gritting his teeth, he scoffed. The old man ran away too fast. He then seated himself cross-legged, pressing his palms together. The turbulent energy within him, once raging like a storm, suddenly stabilized, flowing through his body in a structured manner. His complexion returned to normal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Luo Yunxiang's eyes sparkled with curiosity. His posture exuded a profound sense of balance and order, as if embodying an unknown martial principle. She felt an instinctive pull toward understanding it. Without hesitation, she sat cross-legged before him, studying him intently, hoping to grasp the essence of the mysterious technique. The martial arts arena erupted into discussion, astonishment evident among the onlookers. Teacher Fong intervened, maintaining order by dispersing the crowd. Soon, the arena was emptied, leaving only Yun Xiao and Luo Yunxiang, both immersed in their meditation. As time passed, a soft glow appeared between Luo Yunxiang's brows, radiating a tranquil yet powerful aura. Like a lotus in bloom, her presence grew more serene. The surrounding spiritual energy swirled around her, drawn into her body. From a distance, Xian Ping observed the phenomenon with wide eyes. "She's advancing? Luo Yunxiang has broken through again," he muttered in disbelief. Luo Yunxiang herself was equally astonished. While contemplating Yun Xiao's mysterious posture, the bottleneck in her cultivation unexpectedly dissolved. Before she realized what was happening, she had already advanced, as if the path had been carved open for her. Bewildered, she wondered about the true nature of Yun Xiao's techniques. What kind of heaven-defying martial arts was he practicing? She slowly opened her eyes, only to find Yun Xiao staring at her with an amused expression. Startled, a faint blush crossed her face. "What are you looking at?" she snapped. Yun Xiao chuckled. "Nothing. Just congratulating Teacher Luo on her advancement." Luo Yunxiang's heartbeat slowly returned to normal, but something about Yun Xiao felt off. Her expression turned serious as she scrutinized him. "You advanced as well?" You're now a 2-star martial warrior? Yun Xiao grinned. Teacher Luo, you're in the martial king realm. Advancing is 100 times harder for you than it is for me. If you can do it, why can't I? Luo Yunxiang felt exasperated. If she spent more time with this boy, she feared her heart might give out from the constant surprises. Don't play dumb. How many days has it been since you advanced to a 1-star warrior? I was in seclusion for 5 days, and now the entire world seems to have changed. Explain yourself. Feigning weakness, Yun Xiao groaned. Oh no, my injuries are too severe. How can I withstand such interrogation? Let me rest for 10 days, no, half a month, and then I'll explain everything. Luo Yunxiang hesitated, glancing at his blood-stained clothes and battered form. After a brief pause, she relented. Fine, but you only get 3 days. Come to my office then. Watching her leave, Yun Xiao smirked. She's quite domineering, but her talent is excellent. She's worth cultivating. Rather than resting, Yun Xiao made his way directly to the gravity training chamber. Though the battle had pushed him to his limits, it had also helped him break through another level. The residual effects of the origin blasting pill had now completely integrated into his body, accelerating his advancement. However, to fully stabilize his realm, he needed rigorous training. The tenfold gravity room was the perfect place for this. As he stepped inside, students immediately took notice. Many instinctively stepped back, wary of his newfound strength. None dared to challenge him for a training room, allowing him to enter the tenfold gravity zone unopposed. Nearby, Luo Lan exited her own training chamber just in time to see Yun Xiao pass by. She frowned, confused. Strange, he looks full of energy. Didn't Lan Xian cripple him? This doesn't seem like Lan Xian style. Before she could dwell on it, she overheard hushed conversations from the gathered students. That kid's aura is terrifying. I can't even stand within 3 meters of him. Of course, he took down Lan Xian in one move. Even by Chung Feng and Lin Yu from Academy rankings wouldn't stand a chance. I just got news from the infirmary. Lan Xian's meridians are completely shattered, and his dantian is destroyed. Unless he gets a level 5 qi condensing pill, he's crippled for life. Seriously? This kid is ruthless. You think the infirmary's chief Ku would misdiagnose? Plus, he's my cousin's, uncle's neighbor's son's 7th wife's brother's friend. I'd never lie. This kid doesn't even fear the dean. We should all be careful not to provoke him. Otherwise, no one will be able to save us. Luo Lan's mind buzzed as she processed their words. He defeated Lan Xian in a single move. The realization struck her like lightning. The slender figure of Yun Xiao flashed through her mind. As the murmurs continued around her, she found herself questioning everything she thought she knew about him. 5 days later, within a tenfold gravity chamber, Yun Xiao's eyes snapped open, golden lightning flickering within them before vanishing. A triumphant smile played on his lips. He had successfully advanced to a 2-star martial warrior. Thinking to himself, he said, "At last, I have restored my soul power to the level of a 1st-tier alchemist." Without hesitation, he stepped out of the secret room and entered the teleportation array. However, as he reached his dormitory door, an unsettling premonition made him pause. Just as he turned to leave, a voice called out, "Trying to escape? Come back." The door creaked open, revealing Luo Yunxiang, her expression cold with a trace of anger. "Yun Xiao, did you really think you could ignore me? 5 days have passed, and you've been nowhere to be seen." Cold sweat formed on Yun Xiao's forehead. With an awkward chuckle, he attempted an excuse. I got caught up in training and lost track of time." Luo Yunxiang's eyes narrowed as she sensed his vitality's fluctuations. 2-star peak warrior? You were only promoted 5 days ago. Her expression turned serious. "Yun Xiao, you know the consequences of misusing pills. If you've been recklessly consuming elixirs with severe side effects for rapid advancement, you could harm your future potential." Luo Yunxiang scrutinized him and said, "I need answers." Feigning ignorance, Yun Xiao asked, "Answers? About what?" Her piercing gaze locked onto him. She bombarded him with questions. Her barrage of questions made Yunxiao's head throb. With a forced smile, he deflected, "What does Dean Zonglischen think about it?" Luo Yunxiang scoffed. "The Dean assumes that Lord Yang Di personally taught you these heaven-defying martial and alchemy refining techniques." Yunxiao grinned. "The Dean is truly perceptive. That's exactly what happened." "Nonsense." Luo Yunxiang snapped, startling him. "Your family, though influential in the kingdom's military, has never had dealings with Lord Yang Di. Furthermore, Lord Yang Di doesn't even know the Great Wind and Cloud Palm." Feigning surprise, Yunxiao asked, "How do you know that?" Luo Yunxiang hesitated before sighing. "Forget it. Since you refuse to tell me, I won't press further. I was initially worried about you and even arranged a path forward, but it seems I was concerned for nothing. However, you're coming with me. I found a teacher for you at the Alchemist Guild. He wants to assess your soul power before deciding whether to accept you as his disciple." With that, she grabbed Yunxiao and dragged him toward the Alchemist Guild. "Who is this so-called master?" Yunxiao protested. "Can he even handle taking me as a disciple?" Luo Yunxiang glared at him. "He's one of the most promising masters in the guild. It wasn't easy to get him to agree. You'd better behave. You'll find out who he is soon enough." Upon reaching the Alchemist Guild, Yunxiao noticed Jiarong instructing an apprentice surrounded by eager listeners. Luo Yunxiang, unbothered by formalities, forced the crowd to make way. "Master Jia, I've brought Yunxiao, the eldest son of the Li family, whom I mentioned earlier," she announced. Jia Rong barely glanced up. "Take him to the outer hall for a soul test," he instructed indifferently. Yunxiao's face contracted, thinking that she got Jia Rong to teach me. As Yunxiao prepared to leave, a surprised voice called out, "It's you!" Lu Yao, the receptionist, hurried over, beaming. "I've been hoping to see you again. Ever since you guided my brother, his potion success rate has reached nearly 100%. Yunxiao grinned. "Tell him he has talent. With perseverance, he will succeed." Lu Yao blushed. "I really don't know how to thank you." Her eyes filled with admiration. Yunxiao smirked. "Easy, just give me your heart." Lu Yao turned scarlet. Just as she was about to say more, Luo Yunxiang smacked Yunxiao's head. "Focus. We're not here to flirt." Luo Yunxiang said as she pulled Yunxiao by the hair. Yunxiao in protest said, "She approached me first." Luo Yunxiang, visibly annoyed, urged Yunxiao to follow her. "Hurry up and take the test," she said impatiently. "If you fail, you'll see how I deal with you." Their exchange quickly drew the attention of the students gathered for Jiarong's lecture. Some apprentice snapped irritably, "If you two want to argue, take it outside." Realizing the disruption they had caused, Luo Yunxiang offered a brief apology. She understood how valuable this lecture was to the students. Without further hesitation, she ordered Yunxiao, "Get out now." Her sharp command drew even more attention. Jiarong, who had been speaking in the corner, frowned at the disturbance and looked up coldly. "What's going on?" he demanded. The students, pulled from their concentration, turned as one to glare at the two troublemakers. Jiarong, too, was displeased. He recognized Luo Yunxiang, but felt her behavior was disrespectful. Just as he was about to reprimand her, his eyes fell upon Yunxiao. The sight of the young man sent a jolt through Jiarong. His mind reeled as he processed the name, Yunxiao. A sudden realization struck him like a bolt of lightning. He repeated the name in his heart, growing increasingly overwhelmed. Before he could react, an apprentice stood up confidently, eager to prove himself. "Master Jia, these two fools are causing trouble. I'll remove them immediately," he declared. Jiarong, still in shock, barely registered the apprentice's words until a flicker of awareness snapped him back to reality. Without hesitation, he rushed forward and tossed the student aside. "Fool," he bellowed. "Do you have any idea what you're saying? They have traveled thousands of miles to be here, to learn. Do you think you can compare to their dedication, to their perseverance?" His outburst left the entire class in stunned silence. Jiarong, trembling slightly, and greeted Yunxiao with exaggerated caution. "Young Master Yun, Luo Yunxiang, taken aback by his behavior, gave a light chuckle. Master Jia, there's no need to be so formal. Just call him Yunxiao. Before Jia Rong could respond, Luo Yunxiang delivered a sharp slap to the back of his head. Master Jia is greeting you. Why are you standing there like a fool? Show some respect. The sound of the slap echoed through the hall like a thunderclap, but it struck Jia Rong's heart even harder, nearly making him cough up blood. Yun Xiao reluctantly muttered, "Hello, Master Jia." Jia Rong, however, flinched and instinctively stepped aside. Although Yun Xiao had only greeted him, to Jia Rong, it felt as if he were about to bow, an action he dared not accept. Luo Yunxiang noticed Jia Rong's reaction and frowned slightly. I was planning to take this boy for a soul power test. No need for a test. Jia Rong blurted out, frantically waving his hands. Luo Yunxiang was taken aback. No need. She frowned again, then, with another sharp slap to Yun Xiao's head, scolded, "You rude boy, you've upset Master Jia. Apologize at once." Turning back to Jia Rong, she offered a polite smile. Please forgive his lack of manners. He's just an ignorant child who doesn't know any better. Jia Rong, drenched in cold sweat, was on the verge of collapse. He slapped his own mouth in frustration and nearly knelt down in desperation. Lord Luo, please stop hitting him. I misspoke. Young Master Yun is extremely talented and doesn't need a test at all. A hush fell over the hall. Even Lu Yao and the apprentices who had been listening to Jia Rong's earlier explanation were left dumbfounded. Luo Yunxiang blinked in confusion. Extremely talented? Then does that mean you'll accept him as a disciple? Jia Rong paled. Yes, I mean no. He panicked, realizing his mistake, and trembled under Yun Xiao's cold gaze. I misspoke again. I won't accept him. Absolutely not. Luo Yunxiang narrowed her eyes. Master Jia, your behavior today is truly strange. Are you taking him as your disciple or not? Jia Rong, practically in tears, pleaded, Please, Master Luo, just stop hitting him. I'll do whatever you say. If you strike him again, I'll have no choice but to kneel before you. Luo Yunxiang, now thoroughly bewildered, finally noticed how strangely Jia Rong was acting around Yun Xiao. Even a fool could tell that he was deeply afraid of the young man. She turned to Yun Xiao, about to ask a question, when a commotion broke out in the hall. An old man, surrounded by a group of people, walked in. The moment he entered, all conversation ceased, and the crowd stood respectfully, their heads slightly bowed. The old man's sharp eyes surveyed the room before landing briefly on Luo Yunxiang. He nodded in acknowledgement before heading straight to the second floor. Yun Xiao's gaze followed him, sensing the powerful fluctuations of soul energy radiating from the man. He was at least a third-level alchemy master, the most formidable Yun Xiao had encountered since his reincarnation. After the old man ascended to the second floor, the hall burst back into a flurry of whispers. Luo Yunxiang's expression turned serious. Master Zhang Qingfan himself has come to the Alchemist Guild. Could it be that the princess's condition has worsened? Yun Xiao's heart skipped a beat. The princess? What's wrong with her? Luo Yunxiang sighed. It's not a secret. She was born with the 5 Yin absolute meridians and wasn't expected to live past the age of 5. 9 years ago, His Majesty enlisted the aid of a 5th-rank king-level alchemist who devised a prescription that extended her life by a decade. But now that time is almost up. Yun Xiao's expression darkened. The 5 Yin absolute meridians cannot be cured with medicine alone. The only known remedy is the 8th level 5 dragon's pure yang pill. Luo Yunxiang was taken aback. An 8th level pill? But only an 8th level magic master can refine such a thing. That's almost legendary. Jia Rong nodded grimly. An 8th level master, that's practically a god. After a moment of thought, Yun Xiao made up his mind. Teacher Luo, you should head back. I need to speak with Master Jia alone about my apprenticeship. Luo Yunxiang hesitated but nodded. Jia Rong, however, broke out in a fresh sweat. Young Master Yun can be my disciple if he wants. Anything he says goes. Please, Miss Yunxiang, don't worry. Let's find a quiet place. Yun Xiao said, I need to think. Jia Rong eagerly led him to his personal lounge. Yun Xiao paced in silence, deep in thought, while Jia Rong stood obediently to the side, not daring to interrupt. Suddenly, Yun Xiao said, I have a solution. Jia Rong, go inform Zhang Qingfan that you can cure the princess's condition. Jia Rong gaped. Young Master Yun, are you serious? Yun Xiao's gaze turned cold. Do I look like I'm joking? Besides the 5 dragons Jiang pill, the condition can also be treated with golden needle acupuncture. With my current soul power, I may not cure her in one session, but I can make significant progress. Jia Rong nearly choked. Golden needle acupuncture? You know such legendary techniques? Are you really certain? Yun Xiao rubbed his temples. Didn't I just say it may take multiple sessions? That's why you must take credit for the treatment while I perform the acupuncture. Do you think I'd let you handle the needles with your crude skills? Jia Rong wasn't offended. If anything, he was awed. Then, can I watch and learn while you perform? Do as you like, Yun Xiao said dismissively. Just make sure Zhang Qingfan accepts this task. If we delay, the princess will be in real danger. Jia Rong nodded vigorously. I'll inform him immediately. Yun Xiao scribbled a list of required materials. Have him prepare these as well. Jia Rong scanned the list and blinked in confusion. Why are most of these weapon crafting materials? Yun Xiao smirked. I need a new weapon. Might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Jia Rong was left stunned silent. And that wraps up today's recap. For another such treat, subscribe to the channel so that I can bring more such content to you, and you don't miss the daily uploads. Do it. Subscribe. Please subscribe, and don't forget to like, comment, and share the video. See you with another such treat.